Well, good evening. It is evening, almost, well, nighttime here. It's about 10:30 at night. It's Sunday night here. And I am starting what is going to hopefully be my dinner for a good 3-ish nights this week. It's called Ensalada. It is technically the word ensalada translated to English is salad. But my sister and brother-in-law, the first time that they had it, they called it Mexican potato salad, I believe, or Mexican chicken salad. But I'll show you very shortly. I've already got, let me see if I can do this. There I've got the chicken right here on the stove so that it's starting to boil. Not quite yet. I just put it on a couple minutes ago. Of course, with a little bit of onion in the pot. You can see the little piece. Well, it's not. It's about a half of an onion because it's three chicken breasts in the pot. And I've run out of fresh garlic, so I'm not going to worry about putting that in there. I'm going to just let that boil, just like I did with the tamales video. I'll take off the frothy stuff on the top. Espuma is what it's called, and all of a sudden I can't remember what it is in English. But anyways, I'll take that off, just like I did in that video, and I'll just let it cook for probably, it'll be about 25-30 minutes till these breasts are obviously completely cooked through. And in the meantime, I will start in with the rest of everything, because pretty much if you don't know how to make chicken, that's generally all you got to do as far as boiling chicken. You just put it in a pot, let it start to boil, and about after it boils, it should be about 25 to 30 minutes depending on how thick the chicken breast is. So, and of course, right now I've got it on high heat, but as soon as it starts to boil, I'll turn it down to about medium, maybe medium, not quite medium low, because it's 4 right before it hits medium on my oven, and I may turn it down to 4 depending on how it is, because I've got the lid on here, which of course is going to keep the heat inside of the pot a little bit better, so it's going to tend to want to boil over a lot sooner, so it may or may not need to be all the way to medium. So I'm going to just do that, and in the meantime, I'm going to start getting the other stuff ready. Alright, the next step in this process is to take and peel the potatoes. Now granted, I've already washed them. I've taken off any of the eyes or anything like that, because in general, I usually prefer to use organic potatoes, but at the same time, the organic ones, they tend to sprout a whole lot quicker than the non-organic. So then I'm going to take a bag, and I'm going to leave it there so that I can hopefully catch most all of the peels. I love the skins, but at the same time, it's not supposed to be in ensalada. So I'm trying to teach y'all how that it's supposed to be. If you want to leave the skins on like I prefer to do, absolutely do it. But I'm going to try to teach y'all how it's supposed to be. Here we go. Doesn't want to catch on here very well, huh? Of course, after you have these peeled, I would highly recommend you put them in water or some other type of liquid so as to not allow them to start to become brown, which any kind of potatoes generally do that. If they're exposed to air for too long, they begin to oxidize and they turn brown. I don't think that really anything particularly happens to the flavor, but nobody really likes to see it like that. So I'm going to do the other potatoes, and then this I'll probably have to cut out a couple of parts, but we'll see that in a minute. And in the meantime, I'm going to get these other ones all peeled real quick, and then we'll get on with the rest. Okay, now as you can see, I have my potatoes peeled, and I am ready to start cutting. I think I'm going to start in on this end just to see what it looks like on the inside, which actually, it doesn't look that bad. It's just got a teeny little bit right here. It's got to get cut off. I've got my peels right here still too. And I'll just take that part right off. Look at that. Easy. Oops, I might not have had it inside the camera. But yeah, it can be easy to take that part off. It looks like it's still trying to hang on. There we go. Then you've got pretty much, it's an easy peel right there. And then it doesn't matter, whatever that is. Okay? And then I'm going to pretty much do the same thing throughout the rest of the potato. And just make sure that it doesn't have any ugly spots on it. And that right there doesn't much matter, but you know, hey, whatever. If you want it off, if you're that worried, absolutely take it off. If you don't worry about it. Okay, and then you're going to want, I wish that I was better with measurements, but let's see, here we go. About yay thick. This might be like, I don't even know, maybe a teeny itsy bit too thick. But you're going to want to have portions that are approximate. They are probably not going to be perfect. I know that mine never have been. And this right here is the exact reason that I rarely ever made this while I was with the ex. And why it's been so long since I've ever made it, ever since I moved out from while I was with it and living with him. So just trying to make sure that these pieces are similar is sometimes a pain in the butt, but especially now that I use mostly organic potatoes, they're a lot easier to cut. You want something that's going to be a little bit smaller. Even that might be a teeny bit big, like for me. It'll be fine, I guess, in a way, but the one thing that I was going to mention is that you want stuff that's going to be small enough that it's easy to fit onto a cracker, and it's not just that you want. You're going to want several of these, maybe some of the carrots, some of the chicken, because this is, of course, as you could probably tell, eaten with crackers. So then therefore you're going to want something that's going to fit on the cracker easily, and you want the whole bite of everything. Okay, I hope that makes plenty of sense. I would imagine that it should. Alright, I'm going to take that off. Every once in a while, the pieces are so small that they're probably going to become more like mashed potatoes before you end up actually getting anything out of them. So if it ends up looking like it's going to be like that, then don't worry about it and just do what you can. Okay? If it's a little bit too much, just throw it away. Just if it's a little bit too little of a piece. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do 2 pieces at once, 2 slices or whatever you want to call it. And this is probably one of the first times that I've done this like this in a good while. Only because I don't typically cut potatoes that much. Like I said, I just did this recipe for the first time in several years. I did it a couple weeks ago, something like that. I forget exactly when it was, but it was recent, very recent. And I was like, why has it been so long since I've done this? What kind of an idiot is not going to want to make this more often? And I honestly can't answer that question because it was so good. And the only thing that I could say against it was that I realized that I didn't use enough of the chiles en vinagre, which is the pickled jalapeños. And I realized afterwards, I was like, you know what? I should have put more in there. But, you know, because it's in there, obviously. So, there's that. And that's the only thing that I could even say against what I had a few weeks ago. So, I'm doing this again in part to redeem myself with myself. So, but also I figured, especially as the weather warms up, it's going to be an awesome meal to be able to take, especially for lunches, even for a dinner. I know that a lot of Hispanics, this is somewhat of a common type meal. You wouldn't ever take probably egg salad to a potluck, right? And when I first invited my family over after I got married to the ex, they came over to the apartment where the ex and I were living. We were living with his brother and sister-in-law. And when I suggested making this, they were like, "What? No, that's way too common a meal. Just it's you want to have something that's nice, you know, something that's, I wouldn't say fancy, but that's way too, that's just no." And I'm like, guys, y'all are forgetting, my family's never had this. They're gonna love it because it's good. if we were to invite Hispanics over, they might like egg salad, they might not, depending on how you make it. But at the same time, it's something new, so why not try it, right? So I'm gonna take off this, let's see, where was it? Yep, little teeny bit of a bruise right there, looks like. That little spot, I don't think that anything's wrong with it. I've eaten it just like that before, so I'm not gonna worry about it. And like I said, I know that these pieces are not, they are definitely not equal. They are not perfect by any stretch. But, you know, so long as it's not too huge or not too small, the rest is just details. Enjoy your kitchen. And I mean that because this is the reason that I used to hate it. Because I felt like I was never going to do well enough to make everything just right. My chicken's trying to boil over. Okay. So long as it's not too huge and not too small, the rest is just details. So long as your flavors are there, enjoy your cooking. Don't worry about the rest. Okay, I think I'm going to take off just an itsy little bit of this back end because I think it would end up being too thick, and that's going to be too thin to do anything, so it can just get thrown in the trash. Alright, so I guess probably I will just let y'all go until I'm done with getting these potatoes diced up, and then I will be back. We'll see y'all shortly. Okay, as you can see, I now have my potatoes. They are diced. Now, granted, they are not the exact same in size. I'm noticing here and there a couple of potatoes that probably they were the ones on the bottom. I may have needed to do them row by row, who knows, but I was trying to get done a little bit quicker, and unfortunately sometimes it doesn't always work out like that. But they are all diced, and so if you notice anything that's super big, then absolutely, if you need to or if you want to, cut it up a little bit more. I'm only doing this especially because I know what I want to have happen when it's done. I know that it's going to need to fit onto crackers, which granted, I don't typically use saltine crackers. I actually use what's called Wasa crackers, and because they are much more whole grain, less processed, and I love the crunch. If I get the crisp bread, they're the whole wheat ones or whole grain, something like that, and they are a lot larger crackers, but they are definitely a lot crispier than your typical crackers, saltine crackers. So, but they are diced. They are not perfect by any stretch, but I have come to accept imperfection. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to get ready. The chicken is now done in the pot. So now that the chicken is done in the pot, I'm going to go ahead and get it shredded, but I'm going to take it out of the pot so that I can get these potatoes into the pot, because I'm going to use that chicken broth to take care of these potatoes and cook it in there, and it gives it a great flavor. So here we go. Okay, now you can see I have the chicken out of the pot, and I have made sure that it is very salted. I won't say it should not be super salty, but it should be very well salted, similar to the broth when you try to do the masa for the tamales, okay? You want it to be a little bit saltier than what you would typically like a chicken broth, okay? Because that actually, it will seep into your potatoes and your carrots. You want that, okay? So you won't have to add a whole bunch of extra salt to that ensalada, because it can become a pain trying to get it all mixed up. Okay, so, and this does not typically take a huge amount of time to boil, so we're just going to let it go ahead and boil. So just as soon as it's pretty tender, you do not want it to be ready for mashed potatoes. That's too tender, okay? But you want it to be kind of like what they call it with pasta, al dente, I think is the way that they put it, something like that. And I'm no chef. I am a home cook. I love to cook, but I don't know all the terminology. So, but you want it to be something that's easy to masticate, but otherwise you don't need it to be super duper soft, because it's going to start to come apart, kind of like mashed potatoes once you get to stirring it up. So I believe that should be all for that. I'm going to get this chicken shredded, and I will do just like I did. I'm pretty sure I did it with the tamales video, and I definitely did it with the flautas, but for just in case you are either new to my channel, or if this is the first video that you've seen of mine, and if you have not already seen it on social media, which is where I learned it, then hopefully I can help you learn a teeny hack too. Okay, here goes my little hack. And there you have it, shredded chicken in about, what was that, 15-30 seconds tops. Why waste so much time like I did for years? And I wish that I was kidding, for years, taking forks or fingers and getting it all shredded up. So bless whoever it was that showed that to me on social media, and hopefully it'll be helpful for somebody else out there too. So I'm going to get the rest of the chicken shredded while I wait for these potatoes to boil. I'll check them in a moment, and we're going to keep going. Alright, these potatoes are ready to get out, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to get as many of them out of here as quickly as I can, because otherwise they're going to become mashed potatoes. I was busy getting the chicken shredded, and then all of a sudden I turn around and I'm like, oh shoot! So, yep, there's that. I'm just kind of letting it, I want it to drain right over here, because I want that water to get out of there for so many reasons, not the least of which I still need that broth to be able to do the carrots in, okay? Okay, I think I'm getting just about the last teeny little pieces of potato out of here, just about. Alright. Whew, I thought I was just about to drop it back in there. Okay, so I'm going to just put that right there. And I'm going to let that start to cool down a little bit. This, I've turned the broth off for right now, because I'm just about to cut up the carrots in the exact same manner as what I cut the potatoes up. So I'm going to get that going, and we'll see you in just a second with the carrots. Alright, well, here we are with the carrots. I'm just chopping off the very ends of it, because I don't know of anybody that eats the ends. Actually, well, then again, yes I do. It's not anybody, but it's to my 2 dogs. So, there they go. They'll be happy campers for a couple of minutes at least, hopefully. Amen. So, I'm trying to make these as generally same sized as I can. Now, of course, obviously, I don't know of a carrot in the world that does not become smaller as you go down, or larger as you go up. So, of course, the amount of pieces that you're going to need to cut this into is going to be different as it goes down or up the carrot, whichever way that you are cutting, okay? So, here down towards the bottom, I'm going to cut it in quarters, because that'll be similar to the size. Actually, that's still a teeny bit big compared to the potato, because even one of the big potato slices you see, that's a big potato slice even. So, alright, let's see. Here's one of the better ones, okay? Well, it's not too bad. Okay, so I'm not going to freak out about it too much, because really, it's not worth it, right? So, and then you're just kind of taking it and going like that, trying to keep them as similar in size as possible. But as I already said, absolutely do not freak out if they're not. Who cares? Because it's not like we're trying to serve this to a president or to some dignitaries or anything like that. And even if we were, you know what? If it's rustic, that's beautiful. So, there's lots of people in this world that pay to have things that are rustic. So, you know what? Screw it. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your kitchen. This, I have said so many times that my kitchen has been my therapy. I have had multiple anxiety attacks that I have taken care of, or at the very least calmed quite a bit in my kitchen. Why? It helps me to get my thoughts a little bit away from everything that's going on, and I can just focus on my food instead of worrying about, oh, this, that, or the other thing that provoked an anxiety attack. Okay. Whoop. I'm not going to ever pretend like my cooking is all that in a bucket of fried chicken, but you know what? It ain't bad neither. And I've definitely made a whole lot of hearts happy and a whole lot of bellies full. And there's that first carrot. I will see an approximate. I may or may not do all these carrots. I'll have to see an approximate of what it looks like. And it's looking more and more like I'm going to need a bigger bowl to be able to stir everything up with. You can see that right there. It's already pretty full. And I've just got the chicken and the potatoes in there. So, yeah, absolutely. But I'm not going to freak out about it. Like I already said, there's far more worse things in this life that could use getting freaked out about. So in the meantime, I'm going to just keep cutting up these carrots, and I'll see y'all when they're done. Okay, I now have my carrots. They're completely cut up. They're definitely probably bigger than the potatoes, but you know what? There's only so much as I'm going to worry about it. I would definitely recommend that you make it a teeny bit smaller than this, but this is the first time that I've done this in a while with full-size carrots. The last time I did it with baby carrots is not really any different, except for the fact that I think that probably baby carrots are actually a little bit easier to dice up. So I will probably be starting to use more baby carrots whenever I make this in the future, but in the meantime, I've got these. One other thing I was going to mention is my sister-in-law that taught me this recipe. She would peel the carrots as well, but I just felt like it was just taking away way too much of the meat, and all you got to do is rinse it. So I only ever rinsed it, but if you want to peel them, absolutely feel free. So they're getting ready to go into that broth because it's already heating back up, so we're going to get that going. Okay, so my carrots, it ended up, I didn't realize my phone was getting really low battery. So my carrots they were done. So I took them out while my phone was charging to make sure that it didn't completely go off. So I've got my carrots, they are out of the water now, and they're just kind of draining for another minute or so. That I'll keep them up over this other bowl. I use this bowl to shred the chicken with, and then I'll add it to the other potatoes and the chicken, the shredded chicken in the other bowl that's got a lid. I'm going to leave it in the refrigerator overnight because that way it will have obviously plenty of time to cool, and then tomorrow, once it has cooled plenty, I can mix it together and add the mayonnaise and the chiles en vinagre. I do believe that the last time I also did use a teeny bit of Greek yogurt as well, and that way, just like with the tuna, it can cut down on some of that fat that you're ingesting. So while fat is not necessarily your enemy, everything in moderation. I mean, you'll see, I've already told people on my channel I am diabetic. I am a type 1 diabetic, which of course requires insulin for the rest of my life. And with that, I still eat potatoes, obviously, because that's in this recipe. I still eat sweets. I try to make sure that they're sugar-free or no sugar added, but I still do at times. And it's the whole thing of everything in moderation, because there's no need to cut anything out. God did give us all things to enjoy richly, so I plan to enjoy them. And I will see y'all tomorrow. We can get this the rest of the way together, and then I'll have my dinner hopefully for the next 3 nights or so. Probably maybe even more than that, because this is a huge container and I can guarantee you it should be divided in more than 3 portions. In the meantime, I'll see y'all later. Okay, so as y'all can see, it is the next day. I am getting ready to go to work. I'll probably be leaving in about an hour or so, something like that. So I'm going to get the rest of this salad ready. Chicken salad, potato salad, ensalada. I'm going to get it finished up, and here we go with the rest. Okay, so I took what I had in this other bowl last night, and of course, as you can tell, it kind of molded itself to the bowl, which is kind of funny in its own way, but, you know, hey. I've got, everything in this bowl, so I'm going to just, I put it in here because the other bowl was not going to support as far as to be able to get everything mixed together. I'll put it back in the other bowl because it's got a lid. I'm going to add what would be approximately about half Greek yogurt, half mayonnaise, but at the same time, if you want to do only mayonnaise, that is the way that it is typically done. Most generally, a lot of Hispanics use the, I forget what kind it's called, but it's the one that has the lime in it. It will be generally typically next to the Hispanic area with your maseca and your chiles en vinagre, your pickled jalapeños. You're going to see that near that in most any grocery store. I believe it's the Kraft, but it says something about with lime. And that is what a lot of Hispanics will use. I generally use Duke's mayonnaise, not because of anything in particular, but it doesn't use like your soybean oil, if I recall correctly, and it uses more eggs, and it's just, it goes better with Trim Healthy Mama, which is, of course, the eating method that I prefer to use. It has helped me with some weight loss. It's helped me with, it's helped me with my mental health. There's so many benefits that I've seen in my personal life. Also, then, like I said last night, as I was explaining, pickled jalapeños. I use La Costeña, but I'm sure that there's plenty of others that you could use. If you would like, if you want littler pieces, I would love to have the time to kind of just dice these up a little bit, just so that I don't have a big huge chunk that I have to cut up when I eat. But you know, there's only so much as I can worry about it right now. So I'm gonna just start getting in there, and because it's a lot, so you know what, I just want a lot in there. I want that flavor. If you only want the flavor, absolutely just leave the chiles whole, and then you can take them out as you're eating. I did that for many years, and then obviously you can add as much of that vinegar as you would like. I will leave it at this for right now, and then we'll see how that it looks, or how it tastes is probably a better way of putting it, after I get everything stirred up. Alright, so now I'm going to start just mixing. And as it mixes, you can see that there's starting to be a good amount of the carrots as well as the potatoes up in there. It's doing really well for that, so I'm really liking that. It's a really good, as far as, it's a good ratio, okay? I maybe not, I might need a teeny bit more mayonnaise in here. I don't think that I will add any more Greek yogurt, but at the same time, it may need a teeny bit more mayonnaise is what it's looking like, because you don't want it to be super dry, but you don't want it to be obviously super wet either. But in a similar consistency, I guess you could say, as a typical chicken salad. If that makes sense, I would hope. Yeah, I think I'm going to add just a teeny bit more of that mayonnaise. Not much, but it just does not look quite wet enough to me. It's nothing wrong with it per se, but it needs just a little bit more. Probably maybe that. Now granted, like I said, this is a huge batch, so if you're only making a small little bit, you're not going to want to add that much more. But definitely still do it to taste, because this is personal preference. Everything with food is personal preference, and even more so if you're making it on your own at home, for you and or your family, for anyone that you know that likes this. If you dislike the spice, just add the juice from the chiles, because then you get that flavor, okay? You do want the flavor. Even if you don't want the spice, you will want the flavor. And there we go. It's looking good. This is looking really good. Woohoo! So, and that's pretty much just about done. So, and you want it, like I said, it's a good ratio with everything. And I will check the flavor in just a moment, just to make sure that the chiles, the taste at least of the chiles shines through, because like I said last night, I had the last time that it was missing, and I desperately missed it. So, all right, I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, it is fully mixed together. I actually had to add a teeny little bit more of that vinegar, which is very sad to me because I'm starting to run out of the vinegar before the chiles are completely done. But if need be, I can always get another can. And it would be sad to have to throw any out. But you know what? Sometimes you got to make some kind of sacrifices, right? But at the same time, I've got that there. This is complete. And I will just, like I've said before, it gets served with the saltine crackers or with tostadas, whichever one that you prefer. So there we go. All right, that's it for now, and I hope that this is an enjoyable recipe if you so decide to try it out. And definitely, I don't know what to call it in English. My family, like I said, has called it Mexican potato salad or Mexican chicken salad, but it is super delicious. It may or may not be simple to make. I used to hate it, but I loved eating it. And it was just the work to prepare it. But I don't really mind it as much anymore because I think partially I'm not worried so much about if everything's perfect. And that's one of the benefits of being on my own now. And so I'm very, very thankful for that. And like I said, I hope you enjoy it. If you like my videos, feel free to click the like button. And if you've gotten any help from my channel, feel free to subscribe. Maybe I can be a little bit of help in the future as well. And otherwise, y'all have a delicious day, because I know I certainly am with this stuff.